Welcome to Mirror Domains Movie News, your place for entertainment headlines. And on today's show, we'll be talking about Millie Bobby Brown apparently doesn't like to watch movies. Does that make a whole lot of sense? Not really. Godzilla made a huge splash at the box office. They're remaking War of the Roses. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's going to have Benedict Cumberbatch. And, yeah. We'll be talking about a bunch of things, but let's start off today's show by talking about that headline, Napoleon, 4-hour cut. It's not happening. Ridley Scott's 4-hour Napoleon cut shelved indefinitely. And as it should be, because it wasn't a very good movie, sadly. I know that some people are Ridley Scott purists and will love anything that he does. If you're one of those people, I apologize, but I'm not one of them. So I can't side with you in saying that somehow another hour and 20 minutes, or what was it? Like, Napoleon was like 3 hours or something, wasn't it? But like another hour or so is not going to save that film. I know that some people said that it was felt a little bit rushed towards the end, like it was kind of like Cole's Notes version. I think I even said that myself. It just wasn't very well received by critics or by the audience, so if the critics and audience didn't like it, who did? Well, as I said, those Ridley Scott purists. I know that a lot of historians and like history buffs pulled it apart. You can go online and YouTube right now and take a look at it being just pulled to pieces. 2 hours and 38 minutes. So I don't think that adding another hour on here to help flush things out, to help establish character, mood, and setting is not going to make a big change. Because you still got the base product, the frame of it. And it's about that frame that I want to really kind of emphasize. You have to have a good frame to warrant an extended cut of something, don't you? That's the way that I would say. Napoleon coming in at 58%. It just makes me think about things that do warrant a 4-hour cut. And I have all of the Lord of the Rings extended cuts. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the only way to watch this film. Well, maybe Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah, that's a step up from the theatrical cut. But at least this had a good frame. Justice League sort of had like good ideas in there, right? Napoleon, not even from the casting point of view. Joaquin was fine, but was it one of his best performances ever? No. It was kind of a weird thing not having like at least a French accent being attempted. So I don't see this happening, guys. And I think that I'm not the only one here to say this. According to World of Real, Apple said the director's cut of Napoleon would not be made available anytime soon. If true, this would be a huge disappointment. Well, for Ridley Scott fans, it seems only. I'm working on it. It was 4 hours and 10 minutes this morning, so what will happen is we'll screen the theatrical cut first with Sony. Oh, but this is before they actually put it out in theaters, is that there was like a 4-hour cut. And we heard about like 4-hour cuts to Rebel Moon and the Snyder cut, obviously. And guys, as I said, you can look at the evidence yourself that does anybody want us? And it's not as if it's going to attract any more revenue, right? It's just going to come out as maybe kind of like let's appease the few fans out there. But you're not going to make any money doing it, so why bother wasting time to have an editor come in and put in all the extra stuff to get it authorized by Ridley Scott? It's just kind of like, it came out, it got out, at least some people saw some version of the film, and it's just, I don't see how it's going to make it any better. All right. I drove that home. But let's keep on the topic of those 4-hour cuts. Because while we're not getting a 4-hour cut of Napoleon, we still have no word of what's going on with the 4-hour cut of Rebel Moon Part 1. And unfortunately, I'm going to be, the one that has to be the bearer of bad news here. But I don't think we're going to get a 4 hour cut of Rebel Moon either, because again, it goes back to that audience. Nobody's really clamoring for it, right? Um, and it wasn't very well received. I, if I wasn't doing a full live watch along for the movie, I would have turned it off. Like seriously, I would have walked out for 45, 50 minutes into it, just like I did with um, Bradley Cooper's Nose movie, Maestro. It was kind of like I was 45 minutes in, and I was like, I got up to go get a drink, and I was like, do I want to finish watching this? No. Why am I forcing myself to watch something that I don't really like, that I can't seem to get invested in? And I don't see how a 4 hour cut of Rebel Moon's going to help anybody either. Saying, well, now it all makes sense. Not with these kinds of numbers, guys. Not with 21%, not with 58%. I'll tell you this. At least with Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was already a base there clamoring for it, right? Because the audience score was 93%. See the difference there, guys? And this is what we need to drive home here, is that there's an audience for it. There was, right? People on forums and stuff saying, guys, we want to see the Snyder Cut because we know that he shot it, right? It just needed to get edited, maybe a few pickup shots, and they dumped money into it. But when you got a 58% score there, I don't see that happening. And the same goes for Napoleon, too. 59%. There's just nobody clamoring for it. And it's just going to be a casualty. I don't even know. I don't even know if I really want to do a watch along for Rebel Moon Part 2, because I don't see it getting any better. The teaser, maybe out of respect for the cast, I guess we will finish watching it as a watch along, but it's not going to be one where I'll be like, guys, you really got to check this thing out. This is groundbreaking storytelling. No, but that comes out in 17 days. Rebel Moon Part 2. And is anybody talking about it? No, except for me. Um, and not in a good way either. So it's kind of like we just got to go back to that well of it. Hey, only when it warrants it, guys. Only when a 4 hour cut is warranted. Rebel Moon, Napoleon, they don't warrant it. So casualties of us fans, I suppose, for the few fans. But something that we may get more of, which I would be looking forward to, is The Pope's Exorcist. Russell Crowe suggests The Pope's Exorcist might expand into a trilogy. Oh, yeah. Now, guys, I'll admit, The Pope's Exorcist was not a great film, but it was a step up from The Exorcist Believer. I mean, because you had Russell Crowe. And I kind of like the investigation of what was going on and how he would try to like bluff people out of it, kind of thing. Like, you're just joking around about this thing, aren't you? Aren't you? You know my name. If you were the devil, then you would know my name, right? Like, I like that kind of stuff. The taunting that the Pope's Exorcist. And I thought that Russell Crowe was pretty good in it, actually. But so, if you don't know, Father Gabriel Amorth wrote a series of books that I guess the first one was based off of. So he's done more. He went to more exorcists and stuff, and I'd say I'd be up for another one. And it's not as if the budget out there was like so astronomical that if you can make another Pope's Exorcist for 15, maybe 20 million, you're going to see that back. You're going to see like 30 million back of that, because it wasn't something that a lot of people uh, hated. So, Pope's, I know that there was some people out there that was like, ugh, right? But 49%, 81 by the audience. So there, that's what we're looking for. Throw away the critic score, but look at the audience score. Again, as I said, we're looking for audience appeal. There's audience there. What did Pope's Exorcist do in the box office? Let's take a look. because I'm guessing the budget was not that big, 79 or 76.9 million worldwide. Um, and when a movie makes that, and as I said, if it was made for like 15 to 20 million dollars, that's profit right there, right? So Exorcist budget was 18 million. 18 million, and you netted 76.9. I'd say we're doing another one. That's what I would say. From Screen Gems. And I would be up for it. So let's go take a look at what this article says here. Crow's enthusiasm and a wealth of source material from Father Gabriel Amorth's books suggests exciting possibilities for potential sequels. Um, yeah, pretty much just what I just said, right? Russell Crowe hinted that The Pope's Exorcist might be the beginning of a larger saga. So he said, quote, and remember, the man that's based on, Gabriel Amorth, wrote 12 books. So we have more than enough source material to do more than two more of those films, he said during an interview with the 6 o'clock show. So, just echoing everything that I said there, it's not a terrible film, guys. Is it as good as Immaculate? No. And it does fall into the tropes of, okay, here's the possessed person with the scratches all over his face talking, hello, people. Well, I can't quite mimic the devil's voice. I would have to have a lozenge after. I don't want to blow out my voice. But you know what I'm talking about. Those familiar tropes of kind of like, oh, I'm levitating. Don't know how because of my demonic powers. If you could do any of those things, you wouldn't waste your time possessing bodies. You would have little children. You would take over an adult and run amok. Why wouldn't you? Anyway, Pope's Exorcist. Hopes of a sequel. What do you guys think? You want it? I would. Next, Godzilla X Kong. The new Empire star explains how humans helped drive the story in the MonsterVerse's latest film. I wanted to talk about this story because I was, I, well, since Chris Stuckman stopped doing his reviews, he only does film appreciation. I've always trusted
screen, and we don't even
Johns.
see how it happens.
I look out for like other reviewers and such, right, to get like information and stuff on, and I just haven't found it. Like, yeah, Angry Joe is entertaining. There are some good reviewers still out there, but it's kind of like the common complaint was, wow, the human story is the worst part of this. I can't believe that the humans are allowed to have so much screen time. And like, did you guys watch the same movie as I did? Uh, my initial reaction still stands that a lot of the movie, there's no dialogue because you're following Kong. You're following the monsters. There's entire sequences where it's just no dialogue. The monsters are fighting each other, looking for each other, hunting each other. And it's like, I don't know why you're complaining still about the human characters. And the human character story, like they went after this girl here for some reason. It's not terrible. It's kind of like we understand that it's a necessary part to drive the story, but it doesn't. I'm not pulling my my eyes out or covering my ears when the humans are on screen saying it shouldn't be like that. So I don't get those arguments. So that's what I was trying to say about the reviewers out there. I'm still looking for someone who's still of kind of like a level kind of uh, perspective on certain things. Because as I said when I came out, this is not Shakespeare. This is not the next best Godzilla movie. This is just like turn off your brain, big monsters fighting each other, kind of stuff, and I dug it. Uh, and I thought Rebecca Hall and Dan Stevens were good, and Brian Tyree Henry, he was also really good. Dan Stevens and Brian Tyree Henry had some good chemistry. And I like what they were trying to do with the Rebecca Hall and the young girl story. Um, how they were, you know, were trying to say, well, are we a family or are we not? Because you actually belong to these people who live in the Hollow Earth. They were trying to put something in there that had the heart, that had the backbone. It's just again, when you got Godzilla in there, people just saying, "I want to watch Godzilla. I want to see Godzilla." Well, really, do you? Do you? You didn't have the complaints about the humans when we were watching Godzilla minus one. But James, that's because the humans in Godzilla minus one were so much better done. Yeah, but uh, I didn't find the faults in that. But let's see what this article over here says. There's Rebecca Hall and Dan Stevens' character right there. Uh, okay. So, in talking with comicbook.com, Hottle, not the director, I guess this is the writer for Hottle? Who the heck is Hottle? Let's just see what they said and then we'll figure out who this is. The monsters have their own world as humans are trying to understand that world. We are trying to find that path that connects us. So there's Gia, there's also a human, so she's able to connect to those people in the human world with her Hollow Earth tribe as well. Okay, so this Hoddle is the young girl. I don't know why you didn't show her Keely Hoddle. I didn't think it was a big issue, and it wasn't because it made a big chunk of money at the box office, coming in at number one. Right now, that's the 2 day weekend. This is the 3 day weekend. 80 million. It's well earned, but it goes pose a question up on Joe Blow. They've got a movie poll up. What's the best MonsterVerse movie? So, small poll. You got Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Godzilla X Kong. Guys, I really like King of the Monsters. I like the first part of Godzilla 2014. Gareth Edwards did a really good job of capturing the weight, but I rewatched it recently, and I don't know if it's the visual effects or the way, maybe it's the roar. Like, I know that they recrafted the roar for the Godzilla 2014, and it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't have the same feel. Like, it felt like they were on the right path, and we all recognize that, right? Kong Skull Island, I liked as well, but it was kind of like, again, left storylines that were left on the ground. Like, what happened to Tom Hiddleston going to Monarch, right? Uh, but King of the Monsters really was really good. And then I would probably have to say Godzilla X Kong and then Godzilla V Kong. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Godzilla, the first one would be the first one? I don't know. Let's see. Let's vote. See what the results are. Skull Island is the number one. Yeah, a lot of Kong fans. And that's why when you watch uh, Godzilla X Kong, you spend a lot of time with Godzilla. So Godzilla 2014 is the next one. King of the Monsters. So X Kong is the least liked one? Really? Well, you guys are saying with your pocketbooks that that's not the case. 195 worldwide on a budget of 135. So it's got its production budget back, but it's probably got another 40 million to make before it gets its marketing budget back, plus what theaters percentages are. So it's on track, guys. It's on track to break even and be profitable. Probably around the 300 million mark is when it's going to start to be profitable. And there's not a whole lot coming out this weekend. Monkey Man and a horror movie, right? So it's not going to have a whole lot of competition of the same audience ilk. Yeah, 195 on a 134 budget. As I said, and I liked it. I didn't hate the human characters. I don't know why some people do. It's like, of course, you got to have some human characters there to drive the story, but you kind of get the impressions by people who complain about the human characters that if you show them even for like 20 seconds, it'll be like they'll complain about it. And it's like, guys, you got to have some human interaction. And it's like, that's not the case, James. We didn't complain during Godzilla minus one. Oh, yeah, you did. You did. Until you realized that a lot of people were saying, no, this is a good movie. And then you quietly didn't talk about that part. Anyway, let's move on. I want to key up something here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so War of the Roses. Danny DeVito directs. Um, yeah, this was a movie with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, where they're married and they are going to go through a very ugly divorce, very ugly, where they basically lock each other in the house and then start to fight with each other, and they fight with each other until the death. Pretty much, it's a dark comedy uh, that I liked at the time. Um, and a lot of that had to do with the performances by Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas, because Michael Douglas played it in such a way where, yeah, you can understand that she hated him, but he played it in such a way that he was doing horrible stuff to her, but you also kind of like saw in his eyes that it hurt him to do it, that he was still in love with her at some point, right? And that carries right to the very last shot of him, like trying to reach over to her. And then she takes his hand, it goes like, throws it off. But anyway, it's getting a reboot, a remake. And who's going to be starring in it? Well, that's an interesting question. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman's remake of The War of the Roses is happening. Jay Roach is set to direct the reimagining, while the writer of Poor Things will be penning the script. Okay, so writer of Poor Things. So, um, yeah, War of the Roses with Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. The earliest we'll see it is 2025. Uh, yeah, let's get ready to rumble. Marital woes can't get ugly. So, is this because, why, I don't understand that. Because of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in the headlines, and so that's why they want to try to capitalize on a bad divorce. I mean, I can see thematically there that there's sort of the same kind of thing going on. Cooper, who is friends with Depp, told him, "I have a great idea. You and Amber do a remake of War of the Roses. Who wouldn't go see that?" Well, that is a fine idea, Benedict. Unfortunately, it's come to our bulk understanding. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard don't like each other. They really don't like each other. So working together is pretty much an impossibility. According to industry insider Daniel Richtman, Jay Roach is known for Austin Powers and Meet the Parents. Okay, but it's the Poor Things writer that gives me intrigue. Producers of the film, the synopsis film reads: Life seems easy for a picture perfect couple, Theo and Ivy, successful careers, great kids, and an enviable sex life. But underneath the facade of the perfect family is a tinderbox of competition and resentments that's ignited when Theo's professional dreams come crashing down. Marital bliss erupts into a hilariously ferocious battle of wills in this dark comedy about love, power, and the lengths they'll go to win. Yeah, but as I said, uh, at certain points in the film, the male character by Michael Douglas he wasn't trying to like beat her, beat her up, or physically hurt her. He was trying to come to the same understanding that deep down we're hurting each other, but we still love each other. And he was willing to die on that mantle, literally. that uh, I think, yeah, you're hurting me and you're saying all these terrible things, but I still believe deep down you love me too, still. And that just wasn't the case. So, and it was really, really well played by both of them. Uh, Danny DeVito plays kind of like the lawyer handling their affairs um, in between. So, it's a dark, it's a very dark ending. It's a very dark film. Like you're like you're trying. They say dark comedy, and you're like laughing at some of the things that that happens between them. But it's a tragedy, right? Um, it's a little Shakespearean in that sense, which I kind of liked. And then when you get actors like Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas, you just give them these scenes and you let them go off of each other. That's what I want to see out of Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, because they are both, uh, I would say, pretty much equal in acting abilities, right? Um, but probably even Olivia Colman's a little bit better than Kathleen Turner, right? Benedict, I don't know about if he's as good as, say, Michael Douglas, but see them kind of like sparring with each other, and if they're going to play it the same way, maybe it'll be her this time around. They'll be like trying to hurt him and stuff, but she's caught by the lie that deep down he still loves me, right? Deep down, like maybe they'll do a switch up like that. I want to know who plays the lawyer. Who would play a good lawyer between the two? Oscar Isaac. That's the name I would throw out. Oscar Isaac. That's what. Or you know what? Who would just something weird, weird one, something you wouldn't expect, like a Bryce Dallas Howard as the lawyer. That would be kind of cool. Interesting. So they're working on it, guys. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Next, let's go down a little rabbit hole here. Unmade Rob Zombie movies we want to see. I'm very on the miss side of most of Rob Zombie's movies. I do own actually, I own both of his Halloween movies, but it was soon after that that I started to realize, like most people tapped out after Halloween 2, but then he went on to make Lords of Salem, which was one that I was like really, really anticipating. But then the studios backed out. He had to go get financing himself, kind of thing, and it was kind of like crowdfunding kind of thing. And it's like, well, okay. Um, I like the premise. It just wasn't the movie that I thought it was going to be, and that soured my mouth to the point where I was like, I don't even really want to watch Three from Hell or 31. I did anyway, and it was just more of the same kind of Rob Zombie flair, where it's kind of like, I'm going to kill you, but before I kill you, you're going to listen to my little speech on how uh, capitalism is affecting uh, morality. What are you talking about? It's just you kill the person. Anyway, yeah, he gets onto these long-winded speeches. I never even saw the Monsters reboot, guys. It was sitting on my table there for a while, and I was like, I'm gonna put it in. Don't worry, I'll put it in. I'll watch it. And then I heard all the reviews, and it was like, regardless of whatever movie Rob Zombie makes next, you know it's gonna be starring Sherry Moon. So it's kind of like, ugh. And his same cast of characters. And Richard Brake's good, but it's kind of like, uh, let's just take a look at this rabbit hole, though. I've ranted on long enough. Rob Zombie movies we want to see. Dr. Satan prequel or sequel? Well, This is from House of a Thousand Corpses, which is just basically a remake of a loose remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't tell me for a second that it's not. James, it's a fun house horror, not just somebody lost in the woods or in the backcountry of Texas. Same stuff happens. People get trapped in the house, get killed off by the family that lives in that house. What more is there to tell? That's not the same, guys. But yeah, he was a little bit different. But he's kind of one of those characters where it's kind of like you look at him and you're like, yeah, it's creepy to look at, but how do you make a whole movie around him? And like a Mortan Joe, like how do you make a movie about that and say like how does he go to sleep at night? How does he wipe for number two? Obviously, he doesn't walk around with a shirt off all the time, does he? What if he's got to go outside? It's like all these logistical questions come up, so I don't see that one happening. The Punisher. Thomas Jane mentioned that Rob Zombie was in running to direct The Punisher too, and the project was set up at Lionsgate. Really? I didn't know that. But we know from Rob Zombie's quotes of working on uh, the the Halloween series that he doesn't like working with the studio, and that's why he crowdfunds his movies going forward, kind of thing, right? So, yeah, I don't see the Punisher happening either. The Crow 2037. Hmm. Now that's a possibility. It was announced, but of course, then you know that the Crow would have to give a long-winded speech again about killing somebody before he gets his revenge. I just don't know if that would work. The story would begin. Sorry. The Crow 2037. The story would begin in 2010 when a young boy and his mother are murdered on a Halloween night by a satanic priest. A year later, the boy is resurrected as the Crow. 27 years later, and unaware of his past, he has become a bounty hunter on a collision course with his now all powerful killer. Fascinating. What the synopsis doesn't mention is that the plague has knocked the planet back into the Dark Ages. Oh, well, that does seem like an interesting story. I just don't know if Rob Zombie is somebody of the caliber that would be able to execute it. Because, as I said, he would inject all of those rants and ramblings into it. And I just don't know if it would work. Because that seems very ambitious. Wolfmen or Werewolf Women of the SS. Faux trailer zombie made for Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino's Grindhouse project. Or did he do a Werewolf Women of SS feature? Oh, did he do? I guess he did. You know what? That one might be more of a possibility because it's Grindhouse, and Zombie is obviously very inspired by Grindhouse film and genre. It's kind of like 31 is Grindhouse. Monsters, not so much, but it was just like, I don't know what you're doing. But Eli Roth has capitalized on those small little faux trailers with Thanksgiving, which I still haven't seen. I'm going to see it, guys. Don't worry. I was spoiled by somebody in the live chat. I forget who that was. But anyway, Edgar Wright has pondered don't feature in the past, but we'll see. So that's more likely to happen. Tyrannosaurus Rex, yes. This was based on off a comic or something, right? Did I mention Tyrannosaurus Rex was given a 2009 release? He had started promoting the project with posters and concept art. Then Bastillo and Maury left Halloween 2 and Dimension roped Zombie into doing a 2009 uh, Halloween 2 instead of Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, I do remember that. He was really ramped up to doing it. He was doing all like the promotional art and uh, pictures and stuff on his Instagram for it. And Zombie's good at corralling on social media. uh, fans to his projects and stuff. I do remember that one. He said the movie would be about this washed up prize fighter who's got this self destructive tendency, and he comes out of prison, and the only way he knows how to survive is by fighting. But his boxing career is over, so he gets caught up in sort of an underground fight ring. Yeah, that one I could see happen. That one I could see happen too, right? The Crow 2037, directed by Chad Zaleski, is what I like to see. Art Glass says, talking about that Crow one. Yeah, there's an interesting story there to be had, for sure. It just feels like it takes a little bit of nuance. Is that it? How many of these? Oh my god! Hey. Okay, so sorry, we're gonna have to go through some of these fast. I thought it was a small list. Something called the Nail, which I don't even know. It's a basically a souped up version of the 1975 classic Race with the Devil. Small time pro wrestler Rex Hauser, the Nail, makes a living touring the small town wrestling circuit with his family and comes into contact with a murderous gang of satanic bikers. Sounds up his alley. Bigfoot, a Bigfoot movie, yeah. Blob. Yeah, we heard that Rob Zombie was going to make a Blob remake. I want to see a Blob remake. It is very creepy. And if you ever watched the behind the scenes stuff of the 80s version of the Blob, of all the practical effects that went into it, like it was the practical effects that made it really gross. Especially the one where the Blob comes over the person and pulls his face back. Eesh. But the Blob is a big enough name that if you were to do that, then that's Hollywood big budget kind of money wants to come in, and then he'll have studio interaction, and he doesn't like that, so I don't see that one happening. Broad Street Bullies, the Philadelphia Flyers hockey team that evolved from the cellar dwelling expansion team into a team that racked up victories and penalty minutes in equal measure in the 1970s. Yeah, even the Simpsons made jokes about the original Flyers hockey team, right? Manson Murders Project. I'm not interested. I know that there's like true crime people out there that might be interested, but for me, I don't like. It's just one of those things where like there was that Dahmer series. I did watch it, but it's kind of like, again, why are we trying to prop up this guy, right? We shouldn't be trying to prop him up because he's kind of like, if we keep on making movies and stuff about him or these murderers, then they've kind of achieved what they wanted to by getting the notoriety, and I don't like that. Raised eyebrows. What the heck is this? Raised eyebrows. My years inside Groucho's house. Groucho's. Groucho as in Groucho Marx? He had appreciation for the Marx Brothers, so when the Broad Street Bullies started looking troublesome in 2015, it wasn't too surprising that he shifted over to trying to make a film based on the memoir of Groucho Marx. Oh, okay. Yeah, again, I think that one would be too much nuance for Rob Zombie. Too much nuance. Stay on with the horror theme. As you know, I was a huge fan of the Hellraiser reboot. I still get that image right there just takes my breath away. I'm sorry, but Jamie Clayton was awesome as the Hell Priest. Uh, she played it so well. It was just kind of like I like from the original books uh, uh, that they were never described as male or female. They were just kind of androgynous kind of thing, right? And I like how they kind of went into that. The only thing I didn't really like, I thought that I would like the fact that they didn't have the black leather kind of thing, that there was just peeled skin all over them. Uh, and while this makeup is good, it just kind of, for me, it almost kind of took me out of it sometimes. But I still like the movie a lot. And I know that my reaction to it has been butchered to no end here on YouTube. Um, because YouTube is trying to clean up its stuff, right? Let me see if I can pull up. Let's see if it's maybe it's still blocked. I hope not, because I liked I really enjoyed that movie, and it was like priority. I've never come out of the gate like that. Spoiler discussion. Okay, so that. Oh, so did that? Yeah, maybe that got completely blocked. Not there. Or no, it wasn't live. It was under my normal videos. Partially blocked. Sorry. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Only 29 people watched it anyway. Probably because it's so hard. It's just one of those things where it just got butchered. Things got muted. Things I had to blur because, as I said, the peeled skin is they're basically naked with peeled skin covering up their bits, right? Anyway, sounds like we may get another one, which is good. Um, while having conversations, making a Hellraiser sequel, director David Bruckner, producer Keith Levine, who's currently doing press rounds for The First Omen, talked about this. So Levine said, quote, "We are trying to do a follow-up and there have been conversations. I can't exactly say where we're at in those conversations, but Bruckner is involved in those conversations, and we spend a lot of time and energy, I think, relaunching that world. A lot of brain power going into crafting the Cenobite design, figuring out how we're going to pull them off, pull them off, and learning so much. I think moving forward, we love that knowledge is sort of banked and that time is spent. So we think moving forward and going into another movie is going to be even crazier and even more awesome. So yeah, there's something we're definitely hard at work on, and hopefully we'll have some more news soon." And there's Jimmy Clayton right there. I'd like to see her suit up again, and you wouldn't have to do it about like the box just happens. Like that's the magic about the Hellraiser, is the lament configuration seems indestructible. So throughout the history of man, like you could have it appear kind of thing, right? It doesn't have to be in our present time either. You can make it go back in time like the other Hellraiser movies did, or Hellraiser in space. No, please don't go there again. But you know that kind of thing, right? I just want to see more. I just like that world and go into the Leviathan. Um, we didn't really get a lot of the Leviathan in the reboot, right? The Leviathan is that big underground maze that we've seen in Hellraiser 2 kind of thing, where we see one of the configurations. Um, let's see, like that whole sequence and setup of the labyrinth is, yeah, stuff of nightmare fuel kind of thing, right? Well, it's just like these endless corridors, and stairs going up. Um, this is 80s matte paintings, but if you could actually flesh that out, make it tangible, um, have like a chase sequence of a monster chasing somebody along these ledges and going up and down the stairs, and it just goes on and on. There's totally room for expansion on that. Sure, right? In the Leviathan, and there's the configuration right there. I did like how they do address like the different configurations too in the remake. So I'd be totally up for a new Hellraiser. Um, I want to see another one. I do. I wonder. Okay, maybe we can, because I went straight to streaming. Right, that was straight to Hulu. So yeah, we wouldn't really get numbers from that. I'll just see. Are we doing live watch along for Rebel Moon Part 2? Yeah, sadly, if you watched the video at the beginning, I addressed that. We will be doing it. Um, Not overly enthusiastic about it, but we will do it. Because I'm a completionist a bit. I recommend Anyone But You, 2003 on point 3. That's that rom com with Sydney Sweeney, right? Yeah, I was so ashamed that I didn't go to see it when it came back into. Well, it stayed so long in the theaters, like past Valentine's Day, right? And it was a big hit. I can't believe I missed it. I'll see it eventually. We will be doing Reacher. It's because this is the first day off, guys. So it's kind of like this morning. I had to catch up with a bunch of stuff. So it is what it is. Sam Raimi not too confident on Spider-Man 4. Sam Raimi is well aware of the rumors that Spider-Man 4 with Tobey. Now this is something where there is an audience for this, and I think they would make money with it. But the problem is that once you sign on Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and probably even Kirsten Dunst, is that the studio would throw a bunch of money at it, throw a bunch of notes at it. You would film half of it, and they say, "Well, no, we want to retool," and then waste more money on it, and it just gets lost in that studio machine, right? Sam Raimi can do that, has done it. I just don't know if he's really wanting to go back there. So let's see what he says here. With rumors swirling around Spider-Man 4, Sam Raimi addressed it all head on. He said, quote, "I did read that rumor, but I'm actually not working on it yet." One key reason that the studio isn't successful. They've had Marvel and Columbia are so successful with current Spider-Man movies and the track there. And I don't know that they're going to go back to me and say, "Hey, well, folks, well, we can tell that story." But and that's so he's reading exactly what we all seem to fully understand, that Sony has absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about when it comes to Spider-Man movies, right? Um, or how to handle Spider-Man. Because when Spider-Man No Way Home comes out and makes over $1 billion, they say, well, that's just because it's Tom Holland, right? It's because it's connected to Marvel, right? It's because we're bringing back all these. Wait a minute. It should be because we're bringing back all these villains that people want to see. It should be because everybody screamed and I've never heard roars and cheers when Toby and Andrew stepped out onto frame in a theater. Uh, Not even Doom Part 2, Oppenheimer, uh, maybe a little bit of John Wick, but like nothing where we all collectively went, wow, right? Um, it's just like, as a studio executive, this brought $1 billion. Should we make a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire? I would. And why can't you make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield? You should be able to. Just don't inflate the budget over $100 million. Make it small and confined. They're good actors, so write scenes where they let them do their thing. Something that gives people closure to it, kind of like allows people to put it back. But I don't know. Doesn't sound like, from Raimi's perspective, that is going to happen. And I would be shocked if the studio actually comes around and has enough sense to say, "Oh yeah, that makes money. Let's do something that makes money and makes people happy." Hey, we'll give you Madame Web and Craven the Hunter instead, because people want to see that, right? No. Next, let's get to a little bit more audaciousness. Stranger Things. Millie Bobby Brown does not watch movies. I don't even like sitting for my own movies. What? See, now this doesn't make sense. And you guys know that I am a huge Millie Bobby Brown fan. That I liked Damsel last month, and I'm looking forward to Stranger Things season 5. She's made a startling revelation that she does not watch movies. See, now this is problematic for me because it's kind of like, yeah, I'm on YouTube, but how do I get better at YouTube? By watching videos on YouTube and watching how to make videos on YouTube. So when an actor comes out and says, I don't like watching movies, well, people who act are in movies. Don't you want to watch people who act so that you can get like tips and ideas, uh, methodology? Don't you want that to learn? It's kind of like, I want to write books. I just don't want to ever read books. See the disconnect? It's just weird. I can understand that she may be one of those people that doesn't like to watch herself on the big screen, except she seems to post a lot on her social media, so it's kind of like that doesn't, those two things don't jive. I don't like to see myself, but I'll put myself up every day on my social media. I was like, well, yeah. Shocks fan says she doesn't even watch movies. Says the channels says she channels her inner badass through characters like Lara Croft and Mad Max. Well, Mad Max is a movie, so you had to have at least watched Mad Max. By the way, I like The Road Warrior. Isn't that an awesome movie? No Holmes franchise cannot fathom how people watch movies, as she is unable to focus her brain for long enough, and that she doesn't like sitting for her own movies. Or does she have some kind of attention deficit disorder? Let's just see it at her quote. Quote, I don't watch movies. People come up to me and say, you should definitely watch this movie. It would change your life. And I'm like, how long do I have to sit there for? Because my brain and I don't like even sitting for my own movies. I didn't know that. Um, I'll say this, guys. It's a problem. No, not a problem. But it's something that you have to deal with. If it's painful for you to sit here like that for even a minute, you got to check your phone, you got to have a sound on in the background, then it's possible that you may have some kind of attention problem, right? And see, for me, patience is, I've spent a long time cultivating my patience uh, because I just like I was like almost everybody else, where I was like, no, I don't want to sit here. This is boring. I'm out of here. No, uh, there are rewards that come with patience. But as I said, my original observation stands that if you want to be a better actor, you got to watch other people act and do things, right? You got to watch. What this tells me, though, what this tells me is that maybe she won't direct a movie because directing takes patience. Directing takes not only time to develop the script and work with the writer, but it takes time casting. Takes time. Like she would pull her hair out in the editing room, especially if she's not editing. She could not sit there like Peter Jackson on the couch and just watch edits get made for hours on end, kind of thing, right? It's just a curious thing. She's still young. She may grow out of that. Uh, my fiance is the biggest movie buff. He just sits and watches movies all day, and I cannot do that. The one thing I can't sit down and do. But I really love Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, and I love Mad Max, so I feel like I'm always channeling that inner badass. It is interesting. So lots of people are weighing in on this. Nothing annoys me more than Millie Bobby Brown attempt of a personality. What? Some people are attacking her. Millie Bobby Brown wants nothing to do with her job outside of work. She's just like me for real. So some people are on her side. Of course, you have the Millie Bobby Brown fans. It's just for me. It's just the whole. I have a problem sitting down and being quiet in a room with no sound. Like if you, I could put my chair in the corner, take all my posters down and everything, and I'd have no problem sitting there for 30 minutes. Um, I got it up here, right? Next. Damsel's book ending differs from the movie. And we did a full live watch along for Damsel. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But apparently the book had a very different ending. And if they've gone with that ending, I think I would have liked the movie even more. So, Damsel uh, is a Netflix film where she gets uh, arranged to marry a prince, and the prince and his family sacrifice new brides to a big dragon to maintain the peace. Unfortunately, she doesn't want to die, so she ends up fighting the dragon and comes back to town to wreak havoc and get revenge. In the book, she fights the dragon, and they both basically wound each other to the point that they're dying. And then I guess their blood mixes, and she gets the ability to turn into a dragon herself. That's a weird abstract thing, right? Now, who? That's why I'm saying that I would have preferred that ending, and then she goes back to the family and turns into the dragon and wreaks her havoc that way. I would have gone for that. That sounds a lot more interesting, right? After an hour of watching the movie, let's just see. So the book ending is very different. Elodie becomes a dragon, which that they were trying to make her like a standard heroine and stuff. That yeah, even she can fight, but it was kind of like you're already doing something abstract, working with dragons. Oh, really? Like make it that weird then. Why not? I mean, people, if you do something weird like that, it'll resonate. It'll be a note that people will be like, well, the movie wasn't that good, but it did have that weird ending. Or that one iconic kind of scene where she turns into a dragon. What? I got to check that out, right? I would. I would totally check that out. I kind of want to watch this movie again and see if that could have been a possibility. And I like the design of the dragon too. Why the book ending is way better, well, that's just up for interpretation. Now that you know that she would turn into the dragon at the end, it does seem a little bit weirder, right? Well, we'll have to see. Just a curiosity kind of thing. Uh, Hourglass says you could be on to something with Millie Bobby Brown and ADHD. It could be a millennial. Maybe. Millie Bobby Brown is a stranger to Stranger Things. I guess Millie didn't want the dragon to upstage her in the final scenes. Maybe. Maybe. Because she was producing this as well, right? But it's just, you're taking a swing with it for sure. You're trying to hit a home run with it. With Millie Bobby Brown actually turning into a dragon, that's a big swing, and if it has the huge potential to be a miss. I just find I find I would have found the attempt very artistic. I think it would have separated it from just being a standard run of the mill kind of movie that it was, even though I enjoyed it. Anyway, next. Oh, okay. This one I'm gonna set up a little bit better. Okay. Because I did watch SCTV when I was younger. So, comedy legend Joe Flaherty SCTV freaks and geeks, and Happy Gilmore passes away at the age of 82. Wow. Um, you guys will recognize him if you saw him. 82. Uh, that's up there. Yeah, he was the guy in the background when he was with Bob Barker there. He's saying, "You will not make this putt, you jackass." Yeah, he was that guy. But he was also on SCTV, and he did a lot of the comedy skits and stuff. I think this is one with John Candy. Yeah, very. Um, well, now they're both gone. Um, 82. They're up there. Dave Thomas. That's a very old Leafs jersey. Cornerbacks. Habs. Yeah, if you don't know, they're in the same division, so they don't like fighting or facing each other. Anyway, rest in peace, Joe Flaherty. Yeah, 82 good innings. Rest in peace. Who's left of this SCTV? Martin Short's still here. Catherine O'Hara's still here. We're going to see Catherine in Beetlejuice. Eugene Levy's still here. Dave Thomas is still here. Andrea Martin's still here, and so is Rick Moranis. So it's only John and Joe Flaherty that are gone. But, I just wanted to pay my respects. Next, this one pulled. Steve-O says he asked Bill Maher to not smoke during an interview. Due to his 16 years of sobriety, claims Maher refused and called it a deal breaker. Now that's moronic. If you don't know who Bill Maher is, he does like real time. He talks a lot of political stuff, but he's also very much a champion of cannabis. Oh, I don't know if I can say that word. He likes to smoke it, so it's kind of like he does this podcast where he lights up, and it's kind of like, okay, fine. Um, and sometimes those interviews are like 2 hours. Some of them, depending on how big they are, there's only an hour. Um, Bill, are you saying that you're not like if somebody like Steve-O, who we all know, um, fought hard for his sobriety, like he was very much on the same path as Bam Margera, right? Um, where Steve-O was able to break free of it. Bam is still fighting with it, right? Um, and if somebody like that was going to come onto the show and said, "Oh, James, please don't smoke that while we're here on today," being like, "Okay, yeah, and yeah, no worries, man." I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. That just seems small of Bill Maher, especially since your whole job is interviewing people. So it's kind of like you don't have the ability to not smoke for an hour just to talk to Steve-O. You can't do it for just an hour. Smoke it in another room, come in, and then do your interview for an hour. And he's saying you can't do that, Bill Maher. Just seems a little low to me. And they both have their podcasts, right? Steve-O's got like the Guy in the Van podcast or whatever. And I do like his stuff too. Uh, I do like his material that he pops out. It's just really Bill Maher. You can't. Steve-O says, "Quote: I'm a clean and sober guy. It's very important that I maintain my sobriety. It's approaching 16 years. Wow, 16 years. That's awesome, man. Um, there's nothing more than than I want to protect my recovery. I found it kind of upsetting when Bill Maher podcast reached out and he smokes the whole time while interviewing people. I'd say I'd happily go on there, but while I'm on, out of respect for my sobriety, could you refrain from smoking?" He said, "No, that's a deal breaker." And it's kind of like, well, we know that you like to smoke, Bill, so it's kind of like for one show you can't. It's not as if you're going to lose your audience. Uh, and I think these two would have had a very interesting conversation. So it's just kind of a bummer. Um, because I'm on Steve-O's side here, guys. Uh, yeah. Uh, Next, RoboCop 2 is coming to 4K Blu-ray, so I can finally update this DVD version that I have. Because this DVD version, the transfer quality on it, it's not the greatest. And in fact, it kind of like lost a little bit of its color grading because of its uh, transfer. The thing is, with the DVDs, guys, you got to remember the discs, they just don't hold enough space for proper, well, at least these older discs don't. Obviously, the 4K discs can hold it, but it's kind of like the technology of the time just wasn't able to do it. So they cut out certain things, such as color grading and sound qualities, to fit the entire movie onto the disc for cheap costs. And that's what this is. This is a cheap thing. So if a 4K version of it's going to come out, I want it. Because I'm somebody who actually likes RoboCop 2. I think it's just as dark and gritty as the first movie. Now, it's not as good, but I like the whole concept of RoboCop 2, of them trying to make another one but failing. Like, that was a good idea. 4K Ultra. We need, who's, uh, Schober. Yeah. Wonder if he's going to get this. June 18th. I'll be definitely buying RoboCop 2, that's for sure. Yeah, and the design of it was creepy. Very menacing. Oh, you guys don't have details? Bummer. We don't need a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff. I just kind of like, I want a nice, clean, crisp version of that. Behave yourselves. Yeah, when that fight starts, it's kind of like it's on. Do they have no smoking laws indoors in America? Art Glass says. Um, Not in your own home, because I think Bill Maher does that podcast out of his own house. If you were in a public area, yeah. So like he can't smoke on his show real time, uh, but he can on his podcast. All right, so let's just go through a few headlines here, and actually, I don't have that many headlines. Alex Garland says he's done with directing for the foreseeable future. People have been running with this, saying that he's never going to direct again, that he's retired. He's young, guys, and I'm just going to echo everything that everybody else has said. I'm sure that if a project comes along that he wants to focus in on his writing, he's going to be having Civil War next month, but he like Ex Machina was good. Annihilation was good. I know that I had problems with Men, mostly just because of the way that the story unfolded. It just wasn't. I didn't quite fully understand the message the first time through. Uh, but I like Jesse Buckley in it, and visually it was stunning. Alex Garland has a very uh, interesting uh, style, cinematic style, and you know that when you watch Ex Machina right off the bat, that he's got a very cinematic scope of the way he likes to shoot things. And I'm looking forward to Civil War, but he told the Hollywood Reporter, the Guardian, sorry, I do actually love film, but filmmaking doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a life and it's also in a broader context. I have to interact in a way without being rude. Yeah. So he's talking about the hustle of kind of like dealing with the executives, getting handed notes and saying, we've already committed to the script, guys. We can't change course and do this. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess we are. I will. I'll shoot it. He doesn't like that. You can only go through that a certain amount of times, right? That you finalize a script and you're like, guys, this is the script. It's done. You gave me $120 million to shoot this script. Uh, we have all the cast, and you now 6 months into production. We're just about into the last month here. You want me to rewrite half of this script? What? Yeah, that's some of the crazy things that happen from executives, and I could see that. I wouldn't want to play that game um, every day, having the feeling of somebody breathing down your neck, kind of thing. I'm sure he's just probably just going to take a break, and then something will reignite his passion for it, and we'll see more. Because I do want to see more. And as I said, I was somebody who had problems with men, but uh, which is probably people would say his weakest film. But again, as I said, it had a very visual, cinematic style to it, where it's like the the one guy is playing all of the men in the movie, and once you realize that that's happening, it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. But of course, then it all plays out as some kind of big metaphor kind of thing. Jesse Buckley was awesome in that movie. I want to see more Jesse Buckley. Why can't we get more Jesse Buckley? Now I'm getting sidetracked. One final thing: Daphne Keane, new image from The Acolyte as Jackie Long. Um, that's about as big as I can get it. Oh, that's better. Um, guys, something looks weird there, doesn't it? I'm not going to go into the digression that these are just light beams now, because some visual effects guys were just kind of like, we can't have a green saber and not have the green light reflecting off. But they did that for the original trilogy. You never saw the red gleam as much as pronounced. But James, don't you know a lightsaber would really reflect that much light? Well, how do you know the lightsaber would reflect that much light? Maybe it's like it's sucking in the light as well. Do you know how a lightsaber really works? Nobody does. So it doesn't, like, get over the fascination of it having to reflect the amount of light that it gives off. Because if a lightsaber were real and does the things that it's supposed to do, then this, just igniting it, enough heat would be coming off of this that she would be burnt alive to a crisp. So let's get out of the realism bit and just make it back to the point where it's just real. So it's just a big stick that they can actually use and feel the weight of people hitting it. Yeah. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to digress, and here we are digressing. Anyway, what I wanted to point out here that doesn't look exactly uh, weird or legit. Look at this foot down here. Does it actually look like it's on top of the ground here? Or does it look like it's CG? And I think it's CG. So I don't know if the ground is CG. I think the ground is completely CG. Which is fine if you're cutting costs. It's just this is just a freeze frame. It just doesn't look good. All right. That's all I got. We've been going a little bit over time today. It is what it is. I'm going to try to make the show at 12, and then we can go on to do some reactions in the afternoon and stuff. That's what I'm thinking. So tomorrow we may start Reacher at 1 p.m. and do a little bit of a move. I want the movie news to move quicker and tighter. It's just today I was late. So it's kind of like, well, I got these stories that I want to talk about. Throw on the camera, put it on, and here we go. So let's wrap it up the way that we usually do. Take a look at Twitter updates, see if we missed anything. Lucy Boynton says David Cornsweet is going to be excellent as Superman. The man walked out of the womb with that girl looking exactly like Superman. Uh, who is she? She's Miss Testmacher, right? Who do I follow? I follow I saw something on TikTok, I think it was. I think it was TikTok where, uh, yeah, Rachel Brosnahan. Yeah, you can hear it here. Uh, she posted a video of her with the Superman music in the background, like the John Williams Superman music. This is cool. She's going to be awesome as Lois Lane. And look at that. That's cool. Uh, yeah. So that's Lex Luthor, and that's Superman. That's Corn Sweat right there. He, Nicholas Holt is going to knock it out of the park as Lex Luthor. I think that's the perfect casting. That one's going to be like, okay, guys, wow. But look at them; they're just having fun there. So if you follow Rachel Brosnahan on TikTok or Instagram, um, check that out for sure. Because that was kind of cool. What the heck? Stop that!
Why should I know?
Because I told
He's literally gonna go right in.
So,
Stop that! What the heck is going on here? Damn TikTok. See, this is just what happened. Oh, mercy.
So somebody, excuse me, somebody had to do it.
What the heck?
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So
And you
somebody,
crack a beer at
excuse me,
6 a.m.
somebody had to do it.
when camping. What?
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So somebody, excuse me, somebody had
At
to do
6
it.
a.m.?
I am
Oh,
the
Hold on. Well, actually, he doesn't. But, have you ever been to like one of those music festivals where you're camping? Yeah, people crack beers at that time in the morning when you're at a music festival. And not because it's late at night. Well, that too. But because they're just waking up and they want to have a beer with their cereal. So that, yeah, well, whatever. How did we get onto that? What's next? Paul Mescal wishes Pedro Pascal happy birthday. Was it Pedro's birthday today? Happy birthday, Pedro Pascal. Alex Garland's Civil War, April 12th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. Looking forward to that. Red Band trailer for Boy Kills World has been released. Okay. Well, if it's Red Band, that there could be some F-bombs or maybe even some nudity in the trailer that we probably won't be able to watch. So we'll have to watch that one on your own. That looks like really Cuoco, but it's not. The poster for Daddy-O starring Dakota Johnson. Okay, that's Dakota Johnson. And Sean Penn. Forbes celebrity list. George Lucas, Spielberg, Jordan, Winfrey. Yeah, Winfrey. And Taylor's just joined that $1 billion club, right? That's thumbs up in my book. George Miller to receive an International Career Achievement in Filmmaking Award at CinemaCon. This is the one that I'm looking forward to. It's Furiosa is this month, right? Why is that taking forever? No, it's May. May, sorry. Furiosa is May, so we're still a month away. Yeah, there's George Miller. It's Chris Hemsworth. I'm really looking forward to seeing Chris Hemsworth play the bad guy. Because it looks like he's having lots of fun. And I'm not worried about the visual effects at all. I know some people are. Gyllenhaal has signed a 3-year first look film deal with Amazon. Well, despite what we thought of Roadhouse, guys, it has done very well for the theater or for Amazon. People liked it. So there you go. Now, I'm not saying that his 3 film deal is going to be more Roadhouse movies. I'm just saying that it's going to be more films with Amazon and MGM Studios with Jake in it. That's what I'm saying. Because I think he's already got another project lined up that he wants to do. That's not Roadhouse. Why is Joker 2 trending? Is that a new poster? Trailer released April 9th. So we'll get a trailer April 9th. The first teaser for the Joker is still probably one of the better teasers I've ever seen. The one where it's just smile. That one was a really good teaser. Looking forward to it. Joker, Folie à Deux, World is a Stage. Yeah, that's definitely my most anticipated movie of the year. Lady Gaga's voice for Harley Quinn in Joker 2. You can do anything you want, you're Joker. What? Is there audio to that?
You're Joker. You can do anything you want. You're Joker.
Okay, so she says, you can do anything you want, you're Joker. Okay. Is that it for headlines? That's it, guys. Carey Mulligan. Yep. Looks like that's it for today. The Superman theme definitely needs a full harmonic treatment. I hope so too. I think they are using John Williams themes for the Superman movie. Because remember he said that all the themes are already written. He's like, but you haven't even shot anything for the movie yet. I think because James Gunn up here is like, we're going to use John Williams themes. You know what? Just to echo that, just for 1 second, or see if I can pull up a picture of the. Or no, this is just a mock-up of Superman. Right. Um, I think that's David Corn Sweat, by the way. I think it would be very smart for him to use John Williams music. And remember that John Williams said that he was going to retire after the last Indiana Jones film, but he then, like recently, like in the last month, he said he'd be open to doing something if the project was just right. And a lot of people first caught on to uh, John Williams because of Superman. And if he ended his career with Superman, I think most of us would be on board with that. But he's not. He's not going to be because they've already announced who the music guy is going to be, and I think it's the same guy who did the music for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But then you point to him and say, like, how can he have most of the themes done? Because maybe they are going to buy the rights for John Williams. But that's just my wish. Who knows? We'll have to see, guys. What do you think? All right, that's it for me today, guys. What do you guys think about some of the stories? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. I'm going to try to fit in some kind of schedule proper in the days to come. So stay tuned to that. If not, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. You're watching Mirror Domains.